What's up, guys? Dr. Allan here from Maui Athletics, and today I wanted to go over a topic that is something that a ton of people deal with, but I want to deal with cravings in everyday life. And this was spurred by a conversation with one of my clients this past week, and I thought that this would be a great way to bring it in and give you some tips and techniques to be able to address these in the best way possible. So he wrote to me, "I've been struggling at times with cravings or nibbles of the kids' food. My environment has gotten a lot better. No takeout, not buying chocolates or donuts, which was becoming a Saturday regular thing." This can be an extremely difficult thing to deal with, particularly if you have kids, significant others, roommates that buy these types of foods that you have in your house that you can't feasibly get rid of, and you have to deal with them and experience them in everyday life. In those without kids or living with a particular person that might be getting these types of foods, the best things you can possibly do is adjust your food environment. And what I mean by that is making sure that if you have these foods that you have a problem controlling yourself around, make sure that you get them out of your house. Now, this doesn't mean that you can never have them again, but what it does do is it forces you to go out of your way to go and get these foods. If you have to go to the store, it gives you 20, 30 minutes to see if that's really something that you want or if this is just a passing fancy of yours. Regardless of whether you can adjust the food environment or not, it's important to understand whether this is a physiologic hunger or whether this is an emotional craving for the specific type of food that you're looking at. The best way to be able to identify this is ask yourself simply if an apple would do. If an apple doesn't really work to solve this issue, if it doesn't sound like it would satisfy you, this is most likely an emotional type of craving. And when it's an emotional type of craving, you have two options. One, come up with a list of readily available activities that you can perform whenever you have the craving. These have to be important to you in some way or productive. And what I mean by that is they should be readily available. They can be things that either relieve your stress by getting work done that you need to get done, or relieve stress by being something that's extremely enjoyable and meaningful to you. This is how we start modifying the reactions that you have to typical food cravings. Cravings are a lot like a kid throwing a tantrum. If you give in, it just reinforces that behavior. If you don't give in to the cravings, what you do is you actually adjust your habitual response to that, and the cravings lessen over time. Now notice I didn't say just have one and get back on track. That is terrible advice that fitness pros have kind of gotten into the loop of saying. And they mean well when they say it, but that's not how you deal with a typical craving situation. If what your response is to just have one in your daily routine, particularly when it's something that you deal with on the regular, like preparing a kid's food or seeing a roommate get a Pop-Tart. If your response is to, okay, I'll also get a Pop-Tart or I'll just eat, bits of this sandwich, that's what you're gonna do every single day. And that's going to reinforce a really bad habit that doesn't leave you in control and leaves you gaining a lot more weight than you expected to gain. The second thing that you can do if you realize that this isn't a typical everyday type of situation is rate how important the situation is to you. Are you experiencing this craving because you're bored, because of something that has led you to be emotional from earlier in the day, or is this a special occasion, or is this the type of thing where if you feel like you could have a controlled, moderated, off-plan meal, it would allow you to stay more adherent than you otherwise would? The latter situations are great reasons to indulge. A Tuesday isn't. Knowing a reason to have an off-plan choice is perfectly fine, not just because it crossed your line of sight. We don't want to reinforce that type of behavior. You're not actively making the choice to have that treat, you're being compelled to. The just have one mentality is sometimes a good idea, other times it isn't. It isn't if it causes you to trigger a binge or is reinforcing an unproductive habit in your daily life. The important things here are intent and control. Mindlessly eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because you made one for someone else is neither intentional nor displaying control. Take a time out, evaluate your choices, and figure out what is right for you. That's the difference between making an intentional choice and being compelled to.